Hare Krishna. सत्यानंद चिंत सत्येक पक्षे सर्वाध्यक्षे भक्ति रक्षादिदक्षे श्री गोविंदे विश्वसर्गादिकंदे पूर्णानंदे नित्यमास्तां मतिर्मे अज्ञानेरधिरुपैतया विशेषं भक्ति परा भजति परिपोषमुच्चैः तत्त्वं परं स्फुरति दुर्गमम् अप्यजस्रं सत्कुण्यभृत्स्वरितं प्रणमामि गीतं गौरां सुखसत्कुमुद प्रमोदि स्वाभीक्यया गोस्तमो निहन्त श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य सुधा निधिर्मे मनोदितिष्ठन् स्वरतिं करोतु प्राचीन वाचस्सु विचार्य सोऽहम् अज्ञोऽपि गीतामृतले सलिप्सुः यत प्रभोरेव मदेत तत्र सन्तक्षमत्वं शरणागतस्य सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दोक्ता गोपानन्दनः पार्थो वत्सस्सु दीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महद् गीतासु गीता कर्तव्या किमन्यैः शास्त्रविस्तरैः यस्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्माद्विनिश्रुता स्वधर्मज्ञानवैराग्य साध्य भक्त्येव गोचरः नारायणः परब्रह्म गीता शास्त्रे समेरितः ज्ञानकर्मात्मिके निष्ठे योगलक्ष्ये संस्कृते आत्मानुभूति सिद्ध्यर्थे पूर्वषट्केन चोदिते नित्यात्मसंगकर्मेह गोचरः सांख्ययोगादिः द्वितीये सिद्धि लक्ष्या प्रोक्ता तन्मोह शान्तये. Hare Krishna, welcome you all for this Gita Sastri course. Today we are beginning our second chapter, that is called Sankhya Yoga, the yoga of analysis. So in the first chapter we have seen the distress of Arjuna. It's called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So Arjuna has given 3 fruits. He has offered 3 fruits to Krishna in order to get this Bhagavad Gita. Usually, when you want to receive some knowledge, you have to offer something to your Guru or to the Lord. In the similar way, Arjuna has offered 3 fruits, 3 things. By means of these 3 things, he has received this Bhagavad Gita. And what is that the 3 things he has given? He has given Asthana Sneha, Asthana Karunya, Dharma Dharma Dhyakulam. He had 3 faults, or he had 3 ignorance, 3 kinds of ignorance. And he has offered, he has submitted his ignorance to the Lord. And taking this fault as a quality, as an offering, Lord has instructed him this Bhagavad Gita. Because when you want to offer something to someone, you should offer something which he doesn't have. Usually people, they give us something, but we may be having that so many, like for a devotee, if somebody, he is getting married, and all the guests, whomever is coming, they are giving him Bhagavad Gita. Everyone is giving him Bhagavad Gita. So what he will do, after that he has to just have a bookstall after marriage to sell this Bhagavad Gita, because he has many Bhagavad Gita. So you should give him, you should present him which he doesn't have. In a similar way, when we are offering something to the Lord, what Lord doesn't have? He has everything. Lord doesn't have ignorance. So what we should do, we should offer our ignorance. We should try to present ourselves to the Lord. Honestly, we should say, Lord, I'm in ignorance. Please instruct me. Please give me this knowledge. When you can offer this very sincerely, your ignorance, then Lord will give us knowledge. So in the similar way here, Arjuna has offered his 3 fruits of ignorance, and getting this as an offering, Lord has instructed, Shastra Avataranam Kritam, Partham Prapannam Uddishya, Shastra Avataranam Kritam. So here, Arjuna has 3 kinds of problem. What are they? Asthana Sneha, considering wrong people as his own relatives. So he was all the time saying Swajana, Swajana, Swajana. So that is wrong, misplaced relationship. And then Asthana Karunya, showing mercy in a wrong place. Because for a Kshatriya, showing mercy, it's a wrong, it's a misplaced mercy. Like a doctor, a patient is suffering out of some disease, and doctor has to supposed to do some surgery and remove the problem. But if doctor says ahimsa paramo dharma, I don't want to cut, I don't want to see blood, then it's a misplaced mercy. So that's what Arjuna was doing. Asthana karunya. Then dharma dharma diyakulam. Considering dharma as adharma and adharma as dharma. This is one quality of Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, whatever is adharma, people, they think it is good. And whatever is dharmic, they think it is useless. Like following spiritual life. If you do a spiritual life little more, then people will call you as mad. What are you doing? Why are you doing so much? Why are you into so much spiritual life? Spiritual, yes, everybody is worshipping, but just take little bit. Don't be too much spiritual. Don't be too fanatic. Just do little bit. But when it comes to material life, everybody will promote. Yes, go for it. Yes, you should study hard. Yes, you should study for 8 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours. No problem. Just go for it. And also for material sense enjoyment. Yes, you should do. And also in the thing, in the view of spending so much money for Janmashtami, for Ramanami, for whatever spiritual thing, we always think whether we should okay or not, whether we should offer it or not, whether we should spend this much money for flowers or not. But when marriage comes, then immediately people go mad. They start to spend so much in lakhs. So actually, we are not supposed to do this kind of thing. As a devotee, we should be understanding. First preference should be given to Lord. Anyway, this is Kali Yuga. For whatever thing which is insignificant, we give so much stress, we give so much importance. But whatever is very significant, whatever is very important, we don't give much time for it. So that's why dharma dharma diya kulam. So here Arjuna was speaking, or he was considering the dharma of Brahmana or sannyas dharma to be highest. But he was not considering his own dharma, that is kshatriya dharma, as highest. He was thinking this kshatriya dharma as adharma. So these three things Arjuna was having, and because of these three things, Arjuna got this Bhagavad Gita. So these three things are Arjuna's symptoms, symptom of a disease. So if you go to a doctor, you speak about the symptom. You see, I have running nose, I have headache, I have body pain, I have knees pain, I have sore throat. So all these are symptoms. If doctor starts to give you medicine for each and every symptom, he will never be able to cure a disease. So doctor, first of all, what he will do, he will get your symptoms and then he will go for the root cause of your symptoms. So he will check, okay, you have malaria. So because of this malaria, you have all this problem. So he will treat the malaria. He will not treat any other symptoms. When the malaria is cured, all the symptoms will be cured. The similar way, Arjuna was showing all different kinds of symptoms of some disease, of some material disease. So Arjuna was showing externally these symptoms, but his internal problem is something else. His disease is something else. So Arjuna, being a proper doctor, he could understand. What is the real problem of Arjuna. So now Krishna is going to address the real problem, the root cause of all the problem in the second chapter. So we have already discussed about this Yamunacharya's Gita Sangraha. So he has given, I think, 36 to 37 shlokas. So in this 37 shlokas, you can understand the full Bhagavad Gita. So while explaining that, he gives one very beautiful shloka which speaks about the whole Bhagavad Gita, which speaks about the essence of whole Bhagavad Gita. So this is what Bhagavad Gita is going to teach us. We may speak Bhagavad Gita for 18 days, we can speak Bhagavad Gita for 18 months, we can speak Bhagavad Gita for 18 years, doesn't matter, but this is the thing. Whatever you discuss, this is the conclusion. So what is that? He says, Swadharma, Jnana, Vairagya, Sadhya, Bhakti eva gocharaha, Narayana, Parabrahma, Gita Sastri, Samiritaha. This is what Gita Shastra is teaching. What is it? Parabrahma, Narayana, Lord Supreme. Narayana is Supreme Lord. And that Lord can be attained, Bhakti eva gocharaha. He can be attained only by devotional service. So how to get that devotional service? Then he says, Swadharma, Jnana, Vairagya. So to get that bhakti, we need to follow few other steps. What are the few other steps? First step is Swadharma. Swadharma means following our own dharma. That is our Varnashram dharma, or whatever dharma now we are following, we are into. So we should follow our dharma properly. Swadharma Jnana. And that Swadharma means following that dharma without attachment with knowledge. So it is called Jnana. By means of following our dharma with knowledge, then what happens? Vairagya develops. Vairagya means detachment develops. So by having the knowledge about how we should perform our duties, when we perform our duties with proper knowledge, then slowly the detachment develops. When the detachment develops, then bhakti develops. Without getting detached from this world, we can never develop bhakti, or we can never develop attachment towards the Lord. We can never say, I will be having my comfortable life, but still at the same time, I will be advancing in my devotional service also. That's not possible. If you are advancing in devotional service, that means we are developing detachment from this material world also. That is called Vairagya. So even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also has come to give this kind of bhakti. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam. So the devotion service should accomplish Vidya and Vairagya. So that's why here he also says that Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhakti Eva Gocharaha. The Lord can be attained only by devotion service. So this is the whole summary of Bhagavad Gita. That's what he says. And then to attain that bhakti, to attain that Lord, first of all, we should understand the Atma. Without realizing the Atma, it is impossible to realize Paramatma. There is a very beautiful Nyaya called Stula Arundhati Nyaya. Stula Arundhati Nyaya. What is it? In those days, even now in Vedic marriage, when couples are getting married, after marriage, they are supposed to see Arundhati Nakshatra. In the sky, we can find Arundhati Nakshatra. So this Purohita who is doing this marriage, who is conducting this marriage, he will take the young couples and he will try to show this Arundhati Nakshatra. Usually marriage Muhurta happens after 7 o'clock. When it happens after 7 o'clock, already sun has arisen. So it is very difficult for us to see that star. Still, he will try to do something. So he will take the couples and he will show. Yes, Jnana and Vairagya. Yes, we'll see the questions later. So the Purohita will take and he will show, okay, see that nakshatra, see that star, which is very big. They will say, yes, I see them. Is it Arundhati? No. Just see something nearby that is little smaller. Is it Arundhati? No. Just see nearby that is little smaller nakshatra. Is it Arundhati? Yes, that is Arundhati nakshatra. Then we may ask question, why don't you show us directly that small nakshatra? Then he will explain, yes, if I show you the smallest nakshatra, it is impossible for you to understand. So first of all, you should understand the gross thing, the biggest thing, that which you know already, which you are familiar with. Then from that stage, we can bring you slowly to the subtler thing. The similar way, in order to understand Paramatma, it is impossible for us to understand Paramatma because we have never seen, we can never compare anything with Paramatma. We don't have any experience of Lord in this material world. So how to understand the inexperienced or unexperienceable, or the thing which is beyond our mind and intelligence? So for that, first of all, we should try to understand something which we can realize in this material world, which can be compared to the Lord to some extent. That is Atma. So Atma is spiritual and Lord is also spiritual. So if you can realize the Atma, which is us, so by means of realizing this Atma, slowly by means of comparing this Atma with Paramatma, we can understand the greatness of Paramatma. So that's why in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the Atma Jnana is given. So by means of understanding the Atma, slowly the Paramatma can be realized. So Krishna, he speaks about Atma Jnana in the first 6 chapter, and then in the middle 6th chapter, he speaks about Bhakti Yoga, and in last 6th chapter, he speaks about Jnana Yoga. That is how the Bhagavad Gita is divided. So the first 6 chapters speaks about Jnana Karma Atmike Nishte, Yoga Lakshe Susaskrute, Atmanubhuti Siddharte Purvashadgena Chodite. Purvashadga, first 6 chapters speaks about this. What are they? Jnana Karmatmike Nishte Yoga Lakshe. So Sanskrite, Yoga Lakshe. Yoga Lakshe means realizing Atma. So realizing Atma is the main subject in the Purvashadga, in the first 6 chapter. And how it is done? How do you realize Atma? Because to hear about Atma, it's okay. To understand about Atma, it's also okay to some extent. By means of some logic, we can understand about the Atma. But realizing Atma is the most difficult thing. Everybody understands Atma. When you say, I'm not this body, I'm spirit, soul, everybody understands. But immediately when you turn back, you forget that and then you come to this body level of consciousness. So how to realize that Atma? So to realize that Atma, we need some other process. So that's why it is said here, Jnana Karmatmike Nishte. So you need to develop some kind of Jnana to realize that soul. So how that Jnana will develop? By means of Karmatmike, by means of performing your Swadharma. And Krishna will call this Karma Yoga or performing your Karma as Buddhi Yoga. If you see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about Buddhi Yoga. Eshate bhipyate sangye Buddhi Yoga mimam shunu buddhya yuktaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. He will say that by means of Buddhi Yoga, you can understand, you can get rid of this karma bondage and then you can realize the soul. So this Buddhi Yoga is called Karma Yoga. Why? Because Karma Yoga means doing activities with knowledge, with understanding. That is called Buddhi Yoga. So here, Jnana Karmatmike Nishte, and by means of performing that karma, then we come to the realization of the soul. Yoga Lakshe. Susamskrite means samskara. We say usually samskara. What is samskara? Samskara means the quality which we don't have and we get it newly. That is called samskara. Like we have Namakarana Samskara. Namakarana Samskara means previously we didn't have name, means the child which is born, it doesn't have name. And suddenly now we are given, now the child is given name by means of some samskara. And then Vidyaramba Samskara. The child was not having Vidya, and now by means of the samskara, the child has gained the qualification to start his Vidyaramba. So samskara means the thing which you don't have and you are getting it now. Like you buy some flower and you go and offer it to the Lord. You go and give it to the pujari. He won't immediately offer it to the Lord. First of all, he will do prokshana. He will purify the flower and then he will offer it to the Lord. So the flower, it didn't have the qualification to reach the Lord. Now the flower has got qualification, it got purified. Now it can be offered to the Lord. The similar way, the Atma, previously we didn't have that samskara, we didn't have that knowledge that I'm different from this body, and then I am supposed to be working for the pleasure of the Lord. So we didn't have all this understanding. So now we are getting this understanding. So this basic knowledge is called samskara, or we can call it a shraddha also. Because without basic knowledge, we can never understand what is karma, what is jnana, what is vairagya, what is bhakti. So even to understand the basic of karma, jnana, bhakti, vairagya, we should have some basic knowledge. So this basic knowledge is called samskara. So that's why it is said here, yoga jnana karmatmeke nishte yoga lakshe susanskrite. Then what happens? Atmanubhuti siddhyarthe. Then he realizes the soul. Then he comes to the platform. Then he tries to act in the platform of soul. First of all, realizing the soul. First of all, knowing the soul, and then realizing the soul and acting on the platform of the soul. Then Atmanubhuti siddhyarthe purva shadgena shodhite. This is what first 6 chapter is teaching us. So now we are entering inside Bhagavad Gita. This first chapter is actually an introduction to Bhagavad Gita, and we have come to a very important understanding what first chapter is speaking about. First chapter is speaking about how to get rid of this materialistic ego. This materialistic ego is the main hindrance between us and the Lord. Otherwise, you see, Arjuna is just standing in front of Krishna. We say, if you come in front of Krishna, there is no Maya. What do you say? That Krishna is just like a Surya Sama and Maya hi Antakara. When there is Krishna, there is no Maya. But we see Arjuna is just standing in front of Krishna and he is in delusion, he is in illusion. And then he is suffering, he is confused, he is depressed. How do you understand this? Even though he's seeing Krishna directly, even though Krishna is speaking, even though Krishna is talking to him directly, and then he is in illusion. Why? Why Krishna? Why Arjuna is in distress? Why Arjuna is in confusion? Why Arjuna is in ignorance? That means the actual reason Acharya says is even though he is standing in front of Arjuna, Krishna, but his way of thinking, his thought process is different from Krishna's thought process. When our consciousness is in line with Krishna consciousness, then we become happy. Otherwise, even if you are standing in front of the Lord, you can never become happy, because we have this materialistic ego. Materialistic ego means I am different from the Lord, I am independent from the Lord, and I am enjoyer of this material world. That is materialistic ego. When you have this materialistic ego, then even you may be practicing devotional service, but you won't feel any bliss in it, and you won't advance in devotional service also. So we should give up this materialistic ego slowly. So that's why Krishna is now instructing Arjuna, even though Arjuna was standing in front of Krishna, but still his way of thinking, his consciousness is different from Krishna's consciousness. So Krishna is trying to bring back this Arjuna to his original consciousness. So this how now we are entering inside the second chapter, that is Yoga of Analysis, Sankhya. Sankhya means knowledge, and the Atma which is known by means of this knowledge is called Sankhya Yoga. So first few shlokas, like in the second chapter, for first 10 shlokas will be again some conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. And then from 11th shloka onwards, Krishna starts instructing. So till 39 shloka, Krishna will speak about Sankhya Yoga. That is the yoga of analysis or research knowledge of Atma. And then from there onwards, then he will speak about Nishkama Karma Yoga, how the Atma can be realized. That is Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then after that, he will come to again Jnana Yoga, that is Siddha Prajna. By means of following this Nishkama Karma Yoga, what kind of knowledge that we receive, and when you are in that knowledge, when you have realized the soul, then what are the symptoms of the person who has realized the soul? So that will be discussed in the end of, that will be discussed in the last part of the second chapter. So if you see, basically in the second chapter, Krishna is mostly speak about Jnana Yoga. The beginning of Bhagavad Gita, that is the research knowledge of Atma, it is a part of Jnana Yoga, and in the end, the symptom of Jnana is, that is a part of Jnana Yoga also. So this second chapter, it has both Jnana Yoga, and then in the middle, Nishkama Karma Yoga. Some Nishkama Karma Yoga is discussed. And then the third chapter, from third chapter onwards, 3, 4 and 5, they will detailedly discuss about what is Karma Yoga and what is Nishkama Karma Yoga, and what are the symptoms of the person who is performed Nishkama Karma Yoga, and how the Nishkama Karma Yoga is transformed into Jnana Yoga. So these are the subject matter that will be discussed in 3, 4 and 5th chapter. And 6th chapter, once if I realize the soul, then the sadhana, that is Dhyana Yoga, will be discussed in the 6th chapter. This is how the krama goes. So the second chapter, for the second chapter also, Yamanacharya has given a beautiful Sangraha Shloka. He says, Nitya Atma Asanga Karmeha Gochara Sankhya Yoga Dihi Dvitiye Siddhadi Lakshya Prokta Tanmoha Shantaye. Tanmoha Shantaye. Moha means illusion or confusion. So now Arjuna is suffering from this confusion. Now, in order to mitigate his confusion, Krishna spoke about this. What he spoke, in the second chapter, he spoke about Nitya Atma, the Nityatva of Atma, the eternity of the soul, and Asanga Karmeha Gochara, that Atma can be realized only by means of performing our duties with detachment. Asanga Karmeha. Asanga Karmeha means without expecting any results, and with detachment, if you perform your duties, that is how we realize the Atma, that is the eternity of the Atma can be realized. So Nitya Atma, Asanga Karmeha Gochara, Sankhya Yogadihi. And in the beginning, the Sankhya Yoga is also discussed very detailedly. That is, by means of this Sankhya Yoga also, we come to a reason, we come to a logical understanding about the soul. So Vidhi, this is what in the second chapter is spoken. And also Sthidadhi Lakshya. Sthidadhi Lakshya means one whose intelligence is fixed on the soul. So that is called Sita Prajna. Prajna means intelligence, and Sita means situated. So if our intelligence is situated properly on the soul, or when the soul is in a proper position, the soul is actually we say Jnanamaya Atma, Jnanamaya. If you are situated in a proper intelligence, proper understanding, then it is called Siddhadhi or Sita Prajna. So this Sita Prajna Lakshana is also spoken in the third chapter. So that's what, so in the second chapter. So that's what the second chapter is going to be discussed. It's already 7:02. Okay, I will end here, and tomorrow we will start with the first shloka of the second chapter. So if you have any questions or comments, you can always message me. I can clarify those doubts by means of message. Yes, so here there is a question asked by PRPDC. So this jnana and vairagya are followed by bhakti. Bhakti, along with bhakti, jnana and vairagya both develops. It is not that after bhakti, jnana and vairagya is developed. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitha Janayat Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chet Ahitukam. As soon as you start performing bhakti, then immediately jnana and vairagya, they appear also. So they appear simultaneously. Like in Bhagavatam, it is mentioned also that when a person is performing devotional service, then slowly he gets happiness, he gets detachment, and then he becomes free from the hunger also. So that's three things happen simultaneously. In the similar way, when we are doing bhakti, then simultaneously our knowledge also increases, and also detachment for this material enjoyment also increases slowly. Detachment from this material world, yes, it increases slowly. So these three things happens simultaneously. So I will end here, and we'll see tomorrow with the second chapter. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.